Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We've been asked at the behest of our good friends at TakeTV to help finish the coverage of this series. I don't know if it's a best of 3 or best of 5. Best of 5, winners final. Thank you. All right. If a mod can take this link and put it into the chat, that'd be awesome. This is for the TakeTV Penthouse tournament. These guys just asked me to do this, so we're doing it. And of course, I'll put all of these VODs up on the YouTubes as well. Spawning in the top left position as the red Terran player representing Team Liquid, we have Uthermal, the Dutch Terran player. Well, this is a TakeTV tournament. I could probably cast however I want, right? Yeah, I don't have to be all overly professional. Cool, so we'll have a little bit of fun with this cast then. And his opponent in the bottom right, playing for Team Ents. I actually do not know what this team is. Shows how much I've been paying attention to the European scene. He is Serral. Formerly My Insanity. I don't know if this is just his clan on this account or what have you, but yeah, so this is the winner's final, I guess. It's just starting up, and yeah, cool. So I haven't done any solo casting on my channel in a while, so I always like casting Uthermal. Uthermal is like my bro. So we got a pool first build, by the way. So this is basically Serral saying, Uthermal, you cheese the shit out of everybody on this map. And Uthermal does cheese the shit out of everybody on this map. So for that reason and that reason alone, it's really smart to open pool first. Like in 99% of games, a pool first means that it's going to be like a cheese from the Zerg. But if you're playing Uthermal, it means it means you don't want to die. Because Apotheosis is historically a map that a lot of Terran players like to be aggressive on, one base type proxy shenaniganery, because like this map is just so long, right? You know, Terran is probably as far as army movement, one of the slowest in terms of being able to go back to your base. If you get hit by a counter, you know, you don't have a recall, you don't have creep spread to run home. So you have to be very cautious how you move out. I mean, his build is the standard, right? It's the Reaper into Reactor with the second barracks follow-up while he gets the natural expansion. So he's not cheesing. And because he's not cheesing, his Reaper might not run into these lings, but it's only 2. So it shouldn't be too big of a deal here. Maybe he delays the natural. Probably not going to be able to get too much. If you had 6 slings, you can usually get a cancel. But he was just playing it a little bit safe. On the safe side, he wants the queens early to deal with proxy Reapers. But proxy Reapers aren't what's happening in this game. And there's the factory. So this is about as standard schmandered. This is standard schmandered on Terran versus Zerg as far as openings go. This is the build everyone does. And the lings are going to delay, but 2 lings won't kill this building CC, as the Reaper's just going to continue to poke around. Try to see what's going on. Naturally, he realizes it was a pool first. He wants to know if there's anything else. Maybe get some worker harass done on this force. And I actually can't turn off team colors, so it's going to be green from the perspective of whoever is a playing. So, Uthermy getting the natural situated. I mean, his orbital is delayed a little bit. It's not the end of the world, especially since his Reaper got a drone. But, you know, at least he didn't lose the SCV to the 2 links, which is nice. So, this is something that happens a lot. But, yeah. And looking at everything else that is going on here, it's going to be the gold 3rd base for Serral. This is the base that you obviously want to take it. The gold base's biggest advantage versus a normal base is that you need less workers to saturate it. I think, mathematically speaking, income-wise, even though the minerals give more, there's less patches. So you make about the same money as a regular base, but you only need 12 workers to saturate it instead of 16. So that's the big sticker there. It's a more easily saturated expansion. Uthermal wants to know what the tech path is that Serral is going for, as Serral's Overlord can see that the wall's not done yet. 2 lings run in. They don't see much other than a bunch of Marines. The Reaper has not yet dived inside of that main base. In the natural, however, we have an Evolution Chamber and the Roach Warren. We do not have anything like a lair just yet. This is important for the Reaper to be able to pick up on, because he's basically seeing that this is a, more of an economic style. Although this +1 carapace with the Roach Warren, like 6 roaches is still a defensive number. This isn't an attack you. So it seems to me, so as Uthermal does the standard build, which is you rush 2 medevacs full of Marines with stim across the map very quickly to try and cancel the 3rd. These 6 roaches that are being built, and now a few of these lings as well, are solely for dealing with this potential nightmare that is the potential nightmare that is having to deal with the 16 medevac drop. So that's what they're setting up for. That's what they're getting ready to deal with. And that's what is still gonna come. So let's see. He's inside of the main base. There's no vision here. No creep tumors by Serral in his main base to spot this drop that has landed. Now, the roaches are going to come into the main base with the lings. He's kind of gotten a sniff of this, but 3 drones immediately dying. Hold off the mineral line. The medevacs are going to load up and boost towards the north side. Of course, he has not been able to get that pressure on the third. That gold base is so important, but we can see a little bit of, you know, that madness coming in there. Has to move, shift some of those drones. The ling does spot the medevacs as they unload, but we have a tank follow-up. Siege tank is ready to rock and roll. Third command center, combat shields. No engineering bays yet, though. And that's something that could end up really working in the favor of Serral, because even though he only went for a single evolution chamber, having the +1 carapace this fast makes the roaches exponentially more difficult to kill, since they already have 1 armor by default. But that next wave for Uthermal is coming up. He takes a shot, steps back. One of those medevacs very close to being killed. But the next wave is a-coming. 2 siege tanks, plenty of marines, and with a tank evac pickup on this map, you have such a beautiful position from the low ground to hit this mineral line. He does not need to push up the ramp. He merely needs to set up his tanks and just hold the door. And that will give him everything that he needs. So the marines are going to come up. They want to push the queens back. The queens want to push the medevacs back, but he needs to bring the roaches and the ravagers down. 1 ravager bot is going to connect to the tank, saves it at the last second to pull back. And these roaches, even without speed, are still able to get enough work done here to push Uthermal away. Overlords, meanwhile, taking a dump on the potential third bases of Uthermal. As he sits back to heal up, he's got 1 very weak medevac, 1 very weak siege tank. And that gold base is still a mining away. More and more drones are coming out for Serral. He does not have a 4th hatchery on the way at all. He's getting his next evolution chamber. He has not committed to another upgrade, though. We don't know if it's going to be an investment into the melee attack or the roach attack. Maybe he's thinking for the long game as far as going into Ultralisks. I don't know. If he goes for the range attack, then it's possible we see him maybe go for Roach Ravager Infestor, just a big Roach Ravager attack. Uthermal's known for being this guy that's going to be in your face, you know, trying to destroy all your bases. But I will say that not going for any further upgrades yet, and unnaturally he wants to spend his resources not dying to the attack. But Uthermal's pressure has prevented the investment from going into upgrades, which has actually helped a lot. With him being able to catch up, because now his 1-1's on the way, and +2 is only just now starting. He could have had +2 maybe halfway done, but then maybe he wouldn't have been able to build enough units to defend himself. So that's, you know, that's another one of the things that can always play into it. So Serral's got a couple lings on the left side. He could go for a counter. These marines are actually headed home. It's just 4 tank evacs flying through the skies by themselves. And I like this. He's not as vulnerable to the counter as he would have been, because these lings are going to try to get something done. This Overlord can kind of see where some of these units are. The 4 tanks are going to get dropped, and he could try to lambast this 4th hatchery. Very interested to see the position he's going to go for. He wants to get the drones. Maybe he's going to boost into the main, maybe take a shot from the high ground. This is a pretty adventurous play here by Uthermal. This queen's actually eating some big shells. Gets the main base queen. These lings get on top of the tanks, and he's just going to pull out. Something did just happen here. I did miss that. I don't know if it was a Reaper or a couple of Marines. But these tanks are going to head back home. That was very awkward. That was like that high school dance. They did the swaying tree, you know. They just kind of both rocked to the side. And it was weird. It was weird. So, moving past that, there's the main base scan. He sees, okay, infestation pit. It's not jiggling and wiggling, which means probably hive. And that hive is being morphed into natural. He knows that that's where the lair was. So if he wants to check for a hive, he can scan there. Meanwhile, everything that Serral's been doing does seem to suggest that he wants to keep the options open for going into either Broodlords or Ultras by getting the melee upgrades. Naturally, when you're playing for Hive Tech as Zerg, especially considering the power of Ultras against Bio, Ultras suck until you get all of those armor upgrades. So focusing on that is definitely the best way to go. And right as this army for Uthermal's going to move out, look at Serral. He is in a great spot to just throw his lings into that third base. He could just ravage that gold. He could take out these add-ons, these SCVs. These Marines are all the way on the right side. This ling, if he sees, if that, the announcers work if you're observing as well. If the lings spot, okay, so he knows about this army. So now the lings are going to run in here, but has it been too long of a time? No, I don't think there's enough units here to stop all of these Zerglings. With those 1-1 upgrades, they're going to get right on top of this. They could go for the SCVs. They could go for the add-ons. These Marines and Marauders, though, get into a nice choke point. Serral not able to get the position that he needs. He's trying to stop this big attack that's right outside of his front door. 5 siege tanks and only a little bit of the bio being thrown forward. A lot of it is being held back in case he tries to go for a flank. The Roaches and Ravagers have to attack. It is, but a beautiful Vogel from the left side is going to actually allow him to land some corrosive bombs on the medevacs, removing quite a few of the siege tanks from this battle as Serral pushes down the ramp and hitting from the back, hitting from the front. Uthermal's taking it from both sides right now, and I don't think he's going to be able to survive that very long. So his army has been routed. A great play here by Serral to also distract him at home, get the siege tank flank. And now we have a Serral with 4 saturated bases. He's getting his 5th. And at the same time, the movement into Ultralisks has begun. And if we look at the follow-ups for Uthermal, he's got his 2-2 on the way. That will not help him. He needs 3-3. And that actually doesn't really help his Marines versus the Ultras. But the biggest thing he needs are going to be Liberators. And still, the siege tanks are very important because there's so many Roaches and Ravagers on the map, and the Infestors as well, which are going to be big, soft targets for those because the Fungal Growth with the Corrosive Bile is a great slam dunk wombo onto those Liberators, which are like the linchpin here. And since he's only got 1 starport, pumping them Liberators out, he needs to build another one here, and he needs to get a Fusion Core so that he can get the Advanced Ballistics. But, you know, you're strapped for cash right now. Look at the supply. He's at 154. His army supply is eking there. You don't need as many workers because he's got mules. But even then, he's starting to mine out. You know, he's taken the 4th. Holding on to this is going to be so crucial because the first push with the Ultras very well may go there. And this is what I was talking about. Apotheosis is a long map, but it's also narrow. The creep spread covers edge to edge. Getting across this map without being seen is going to be very difficult as the creep has reached the halfway point on a long map. So the Zerg army is going to come in towards the center. Another Ling counterattack is moving into the middle. We do not yet have Adrenal Gland. It's on the way. +2 is almost done as well. And the bio can clean this up pretty easily since they have their 2-2 now. And that the Lings aren't going to be quite as impactful here. But look at this army. This is not strong enough to deal with this. He's going to move into this hallway of death. The Ultralisks are going to begin to chase. They have 7 armor right now. +3 armor about to finish. But the Marauders only have +2 attack. So it's the same thing as 3-3 versus 3-3. And Uthermal cannot fight this army. He has to back up. A lot of his supply was left at home to deal with the Lings, and because he had all the medevacs out on the map, he wasn't healing these units at home that were stimming, so the Ultras come up, they eat quite a few Liberator shots. This is pretty much the best case scenario for Uthermal, and he's going to be able to kill the majority of these Ultras. A bit of an overextension by Serral, but is it going to cost him the game in the end because the Liberators are all dead? The Siege Tanks are getting chewed on by the Ultras. He needs to get rid of the Ultralisks before he can get to the rest of this army, and the Fungals are landing on everything. Just a single Ultralisk remaining as the Ravagers continue to push forward. Once he kills this, I do believe he has the army that he needs to slowly chew through these. These Ravagers have very low hit point counts relative to those Roach masses that we were looking at earlier. So Uthermal, most important thing during this entire fight is that he did not lose the 4th base. The Ultras came, they fought the army, but he's going to clean up all of Serral's forces. Now, of course, Serral is getting ready for round 2. He's actually just rallying across the map with more Ultras and Lings, and this could be where he gets the killing blow against this force, losing those Liberators. Even though the Ravagers are gone, he doesn't have the Liberators from the beginning of that fight that really allowed him to lean into those Ultras. Production being picked off. Not able to get the workers onto this gold base just yet. A bit of a misclick there as they all head to the sensor tower. And Serral's going to retreat. He's going to mass up another big army. But look, Baneling speed's ready now. He can throw Banes into this. Think about what's no longer in this army and think about what Uthermal needs. Uthermal needs Liberators. Uthermal doesn't have siege tanks anymore. He can't afford to build Liberators and tanks and Marines and Marauders and Widow Mines, Medevacs, bases, etc., etc. So Banelings are going to be effective. We did have a Liberator sneak over here. I don't know if this was the one from the fight, but it's got 20 kills. That's pretty sick, actually. Medevac drop's going to hit to the bottom left side. Yeah, that Liberator that was the Liberator from the fight, because he hasn't killed that many drones. Okay. I was going to say, I didn't miss that much. And here we have the Bane Train. Serral's just going to throw this right into the Planetary Fortress. He's going to be like, screw you. Base. He just clicks the erase button. Now this 4 Marauder drop's going to try to snipe this bottom left expansion as that middle medevac does get sent towards the east side. The Ultras, they can't attack air, but they are going to be able to keep these Marauders from picking out this base. In fact, all of the Marauders, save for 1, die. These Lings come in. 25 SCVs have died in the last minute of this game. 10 drones picked off, but Roddy, at what cost? It's going to rebuild the 4th, but this is how you beat a Terran as a Zerg. You know, Serral, he has income. He has money. Cash, money, cash, money, cash coming into his bank. And do I really need to tell you that 300 minerals a minute is a bad thing? If you need me to tell you that this is not good for Uthermal, it's not good for Uthermal. So the big Ultra Clump is coming in. He's trying to use Liberators to buy time, harass on the right, harass on the left, harassing on the right and the left. But these Corruptors are coming out now, and he's basically saying, look, man, this shit needs to stop right now. It needs to stop. He's going to let the Lings eat some Widow Mines. Why not let the Ultras eat the Widow Mines? The Lings are going to help kill the Marauders. Anyway, Uthermal's making the big push, and Serral is going to be able to shut down the 4th base once again. But in a base trade, Zerg's ability to produce en masse should work to their benefit, especially on this long, long map. These Ultras are just chewing apart everything. Oh, God. Oh. That's a lot of kills. So, the Banelings and the Ultras are going to come back, and now there's no energy in the medevacs. Marauders aren't going to do nothing. GG. Serral is going to take this game, the first map in the winner's final here, against Uthermal. Shout out to all my hombres tuning in. I wasn't planning on doing this, so thank you guys for being here, I guess. I don't know. So as soon as we get the invite for the next game, I'll be there for you. Yeah. Schneis subscribed during that game. Thank you, Schneis. OMG Bad Beats, lol resubbed.